Hello, and thank you for joining the Next Gen webinar series on the future economy. I'm your host, Gil Ponce, Executive Director of the Next Gen Chamber of Commerce, and today I'm joined by Joyce Rallanka of Amazon. Joyce, I'd love to hear more about you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Gil. Hi, everyone. My name is Joyce Rallanka. I'm a director here at Amazon, and I lead the North America Seller Success Program. I've had a 20-year track record of delivering growth, both in B2B and B2C. And I really try to be a change agent who drives positive impact at scale. I started my career in brand management at Procter & Gamble and then joined Amazon in 2015, holding various leadership positions, developing brands, programs, category, and large organizations across consumer product goods, private brands, and e-commerce retail, both on the vendor and seller side.
Thank you so much. So we're here to talk about a big topic, e-commerce. I'd like to ask you to set the table with some context for our audience. Why is e-commerce a critical component for businesses in today's global economy?
It's probably worth starting with a baseline that e-commerce is really in its purest form an evolution of retailing. While e-commerce itself has evolved since earliest days, the real impact it's had has been on the shift in the way retailing is done. Now, when I think about e-commerce itself, one of the first things that come to mind is how it acts as a great connector. In my time helping sellers, I've personally observed e-commerce create both global and local connections that would not have been possible previously. Today, because of e-commerce, you can buy something from a business in Hawaii without flying there. You can support artisans who handcraft pieces in South America who you may have never met. You can buy a rug from people whose families have passed down their looms from centuries in North Africa, who you may never have known existed and certainly could not have connected with if it weren't for e-commerce. E-commerce democratizes the discovery of new information and ideas, like allowing people living in rural areas to have access to books that their small town library might not carry, and then perhaps donate them to that same library when they're done. And it allows parents and caretakers to recapture free time instead of spending it on errands. And it allows people with disabilities to live more independently because they can get what they need shipped directly to their homes.
Thank you for all of that insight. You've talked about e-commerce being a connector for communities, and we know how vitally important that is. I'd love to hear how it's a critical tool for your sellers. I'd love to get to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's really, Gil, this power of data. Today, even the smallest business can understand their customers at a level that big department stores couldn't dream of 20 years ago. They can see what customers are searching for, what they're saying in reviews, like how they're using products, and what they want next. And this isn't just data. It's ability to, build better products, create better shopping experiences, and reach exactly the right customers. And e-commerce isn't just about making shopping more convenient, but it's really giving businesses the tools to truly understand their customers, and continuously improve their products or reach markets they never could have accessed before. And we're just still scratching the surface of what's possible, I think.
I believe that wholeheartedly. And quite frankly, we've talked about the presence of e-commerce. I'd love to flip the script a little bit and say, how has e-commerce evolved since its inception, including key milestones in its growth? And I'd love to hear more about Amazon's role in that growth.
Yeah, totally, Gil. I mean, can you think back in the day, when we were kids, we used to flip through catalogs, right? And we would circle what we'd want for birthdays. We had the Sears Wish Book. I don't know if the folks listening right now know what that is, but we sure do. And back then, retailers had to guess what customers wanted. They would print these catalogs months in advance and hope for the best. And customers, we'd have to wait weeks for it to come. And we didn't know when it was coming or if it was in stock. So what's really fascinating is how completely that world has evolved and almost kind of disappeared. Just yesterday, I ordered coffee pods on my phone in the morning and they arrived by the afternoon. That's huge because I can't go without my coffee. But what's really crazy and revolutionary is, as I was ordering, Amazon knew exactly what type I usually buy. They suggested complementary kind of products other customers like me enjoy. And then it gave me real time information as to where it was in delivery to me. I mean, that's the power of modern e commerce, where it's not just faster, it's smarter. And we think of e-commerce as having being a relatively recent development. I mean, Amazon started selling online in like 1995. It actually dates back to 1969. I was really surprised when I learned that. And since then, there have been dozens of amazing milestones like 2-day free shipping, easy online payments. And I can only begin to scratch the surface, even if we had all day to chat about this. But what's really excited me lately and what I'd actually like to focus on today is how we've moved from simply selling online to truly understanding and serving customers in ways that were impossible before. The pandemic was absolutely a turning point for that.
I can tell you that's a fantastic point. I'd love to get to hear more about how the pandemic changed the way we shop. I know it changed the way I shop in a great deal. Like, I'll use my own personal experience. The last time I went into a store and actually bought a suit, it's been a pretty long time, mostly because you have your order history. You know how certain organizations cut your fabric. I would love to hear more about how the pandemic changed the way that we shop.
Yeah, totally. I mean, COVID really just accelerated the growth of e-commerce and drove significant consumer behavior changes just out of necessity. We couldn't go out, right? Remember? So we relied on e-commerce to get us what we needed. I mean, I would get like boxes and boxes every day because there wasn't a lot else to do. I had to keep my kids busy too. And so e-commerce was just such a lifeline at a time when we were more globally connected than ever before, but then we had to socially distance. And customers told us that, the pandemic had changed their shopping behaviors forever. That no longer tie them to in person grocery shopping or waiting in long lines to check out. It really gave consumers more agency over their shopping experience. And we've seen this behavioral shift continue over the last 5 years. While e commerce has continued to really see record breaking sales, like Amazon's Black Friday Cyber Monday event in 2024. It was the biggest shopping sales event we've ever had. And that's in no small part thanks to how heavily we now rely on e commerce and how much that need was solidified during the pandemic. All told, e-commerce grew 43% in 2020, 43. But the really interesting story isn't just the growth in numbers, which is a ton, but it's really how businesses is using analytics to like adapt and thrive during that massive shift in consumer behavior.
I'd love to dive into this a little bit more. As somebody who understands the small business realm, I understand that I always like to say every small business owner has a tool belt. And I think a couple of the biggest tools that you have are analytics data and other tools that sellers could have at their disposal. I would love to get to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely, Gil. You're so right. I mean, the tools available to businesses today are just incredible. Through the Amazon store, sellers can see exactly what customers are searching for, which products they're comparing, what features they're most interested in, and even what time of day they're most likely to shop. But here's what makes it so powerful. A small business starting today on Amazon has access to the same deep analytics and global reach that used to be available only to major corporations. And these aren't just businesses operating in major cities. We're seeing success stories, from small towns, like rural areas, entrepreneurs who never would have had this kind of opportunity in traditional retail. And the technology being developed is making it easier than ever to understand and reach customers globally, really. Like AI, machine learning, they're really helping sellers like predict trends and optimize inventory or personalize the shopping experience. What's really powerful is how these tools help business iterate and actually improve their products based on direct customer feedback. And I think that's what future of commerce looks like, right? It's not just about having an online store. It's about having the insights and the tools to truly understand your customers, to continuously improve your products and like then reach markets anywhere really in the world. And I think we're just getting started. The possibilities for business to grow and innovate, I feel like are really kind of endless.
I agree. And I would definitely love, in addition to retail, I'd love to hear more about how e-commerce drives economic growth across industries like logistics and tech. I'd love for you to dive in on that.
I heard this crazy stat, Gil. E-commerce in the United States alone is a 1.1 trillion market. 1.1 trillion, right? Where there's that much potential, there's really jobs that follow that. So let me give you some like facts here and some details. So last year alone, independent sellers on Amazon created jobs for 1.8 million people. And these aren't just tech jobs either. Yeah, you need to have your engineers, your developers, your product managers, support staff across internet providers, retailers, software, hardware companies, all of that. But then you have to manage the actual physical products you're selling and their fulfillment, and that requires more labor. And then in the logistics space alone, you need to have tracking software, warehouse employees, last mile delivery services. And finally, you have to actually manage the product development, right? The supply chain, optimization, marketing, sales, customer service, all of these jobs together combine to create a more seamless shopping experience for customers. It allows them to, in turn, to build trust, to become repeat customers, and really get what they need when they need it. It becomes a real cycle of growth where happy customers buy more and then creating more jobs and growing the economy even more. And to me, what's particularly exciting is really how this ecosystem creates a positive feedback loop. Better customer insights lead to better products, which leads to more sales, which generates more data for improvement. I mean, we're seeing sellers use our analytics to identify unmet customer needs. They refine their products based on real customer feedback. They expand into new markets with confidence, and they build stronger relationships with their customers too. But what I think the most transformative is how Amazon has really opened up global markets to businesses of all sizes. Like a small business in Milwaukee can now see exactly how their products are performing in like Melbourne. They can understand customer preferences in different regions. They could adjust their offerings accordingly and scale their businesses based on real data, like just not guessing about it, right? And then, like looking ahead, right? We're seeing new opportunities emerge almost daily. The integration of AI and advanced analytics is making it easier than ever for businesses to understand and serve their customers. Sustainability initiatives are creating new markets for like eco-friendly products. And the continued investment in logistics and technology means even smaller businesses can offer like world-class service to customers anywhere. And here's kind of the bottom line, right? E-commerce isn't just changing how we shop. It's fundamentally changing the industries it touches and creating like never seen before opportunities for new businesses to form and transform how they understand and serve their customers in how they improve their products and really how they access global markets.
That's actually some really good points, but I'm going to pivot our conversation to one of the most talked about topics in the world right now. And with us being the next gen Chamber of Commerce, I think that this is something we need to discuss. And it's just two letters: AI. How are AI and automation transforming customer experiences and operations for businesses?
Oh, thank you for asking that, Gil. I feel like we almost should have started there because, man, I can't go more than a few minutes in the office without hearing about AI or automation. Right, we talk a ton about it. Really, it's because they're absolutely transformative and for a good reason. I mean, just like how Google search engine revolutionized how we understand and share information and knowledge for like 30 years, right? AI and automation are changing the way we derive insights from that information and continuing to improve it. Like let's think like chatbots, shopping assistants, augmented reality, like try on opportunities. I mean, there's never been more personalized shopping with e commerce. And it's also never been easier for business owners to take some of the massive weight off of running a business off their shoulders.
How is Amazon investing in AI? I'd love to get to hear more about that and the competitive edge with AI.
Amazon's been investing in machine learning and artificial intelligence for really over 25 years. It's shown up in important ways, both for our customers and for our sellers today. I mean, I know I'm personally using it every day to become more efficient, so I can help more sellers and more customers than ever before. So the ways that AI has transformed the customer experience are really cool to see. Okay, so let me give you a couple examples. So if you've shopped with Amazon recently and you like scroll down to the product reviews, you've probably already seen there's a section at the top of the reviews that summarizes what people like and what they don't like about a certain product, right? I use it all the time. And it's easier than ever to understand like important takeaways from having to do like, you don't have to do a ton of research or read every single reviews. That's really time back, right? To spend with your family and your friends or do, work on your business. And then in addition to AI categorizing product reviews more easily, last year Amazon launched Rufus. And so let me tell you a little about Rufus. So Rufus is a generative AI powered shopping assistant for customers. Rufus can help customers with product recommendations, help you compare which items are best for you, and really asking general questions so that you as a customer can make informed shopping decisions. It's really cool. I love using it. And then, because before having a shopping assistant used to be like a super luxury experience reserved for a special few people. And so, like, now every person can really have that kind of personalized experience when they shop on Amazon.
Yep, I think that's an absolutely important point to take away. You're talking to somebody who uses AI ever constantly in his life. And quite frankly, I have no shame in saying I am one of those people on Amazon that does go for the AI summarized review. So I'm with you on that one. But I'd definitely love to hear how AI has supported the seller side of the business.
Yeah, on the seller side, using AI means that you can spend more time inventing products and less on complex logistics. So let me give you a few examples here. On Amazon, you can use AI to list products and reduce your own effort and time needed on that. We also launched Amelia in September of last year. And Amelia is your generative AI powered personal assistant. Amelia can answer questions, retrieve metrics, and help resolve issues. So then you can really focus on what you do best and delight your customers.
How can businesses assess and really enhance their readiness for launch on Amazon?
Great question. Before I dive into some of like my tips and tricks specific to Amazon, I kind of want to share my number one piece of feedback or advice I give really anyone trying to have a business today. And this is what you'll actually hear me say a couple of times in our time together today, because really I don't think there's a substitute for it. So before Amazon, I worked in CPG or consumer packaged goods. I found that launching in CPG is not that different to launching in e-commerce. I mean, the only difference is that in the past, you had TV commercials and product on the shelves, and now we have social media ads and virtual shelves, like so to speak. But above all else, really focus on creating a great product that's differentiated and high quality. There is no substitution for a unique product that has a strong brand proposition from the very start. If you have that down, there's no shortage of tools available to help you launch on Amazon.
So, you just mentioned these great tools. Tell me more about some of these tools that are available to individuals who are looking to launch on Amazon and how they can most effectively leverage the e commerce tool.
Yeah, there's really so many out there. So I'm just going to kind of highlight a few. I'm going to start with some general resources first, and then I'll go into some specific tools that I really love. So you might have come across some of these already in your research, but the resources on sell.amazon pages and Seller University are extremely comprehensive. Any topic you're looking for more information on can be found on those sites. Again, these are massive resources with just about any piece of information you're looking for. So I highly encourage all of you to check them out and put them to good use. Now, let me give some specific examples. Like I said before, focusing on a great product should be your number one focus. So thankfully, Amazon has a tool called Product Opportunity Explorer. And what this does, it really helps you gain insights into customer demand, search trends, and competition to identify potentially best new products to sell. Also, check out the new seller guide. So, the new seller guide is a step by step guide in Seller Central. And Seller Central is where Amazon sellers go to manage their business. And this covers everything from account setup to listing your first product. Having a good launch on Amazon is crucial. And this guide makes it easy to understand the ins and the outs of the Seller Central portal. And then also, interestingly, sellers who use the new seller guide during their first 90 days selling in the Amazon store generate approximately 6 more times sales in their first year on average. There's also so many incentives to help you get started. You can get credits for some of the programs I'm talking about today, as well as like percentages off and money back. And finally, you should make sure you're taking advantage of building your brand on Amazon. We have a brand registry program, and when you sign up for it to protect your brand, it also unlocks tools like A+ content and brand stores. A+ content is a way to enhance your product detail pages with things like premium images, videos, rich descriptions. It really brings your brand story to life. And it helps increase interest in sales by an average of 25%. That's really huge when it comes to converting customers. And then the final point I'll make is when it comes to launching on Amazon is that it's a vast world out there. There are so many tools and resources available to you. And that's a good thing. But it can also be kind of overwhelming when you're learning a new program and when you're excited about a new opportunity. So don't let the overwhelm feeling keep you from just starting. Use the resources available to you and then trust you'll learn as you go.
I think that those are incredibly wise words and actually pivot perfectly into what I wanted to talk about next, which is what I like to call practical advice for these small to mid-sized businesses. What can they do to best succeed in e-commerce?
It's such a great question, Gil. Being in this industry now for 20 years is one of my favorite questions to answer. So no surprise, given the advice I talked about, please, please, please double down on having great products and a really strong brand. When you have a strong product that customers love and will keep buying it, e-commerce is a way to just open up your business to the whole world. You know, by showing up on these virtual shelves, you create brand trust through transparency and through being strong in the core fundamentals of business. You're also able to learn directly from the customers you serve through product reviews and return feedback. The site metrics will help you understand preferences and variations, how your customer is learning about your store, and whether you're missing out on opportunities due to being out of stock or pricing. Your online presence can give you more insights about your customer base. You can find out the specific times of day that people are shopping. You can learn more specifics about your demographics, and you can source product feedback more easily than you could in brick and mortar. And so all of these insights can help you improve your products and how you reach your audience. And it's a huge point of differentiation that makes e-commerce selling just so valuable. And even though e-commerce is, relatively new and still growing as an industry, you can still look at other industries and successful brands for unique ways to drive your business. Just study everything. Read as many case studies and books you can in order to learn and gather inspiration from those who have been successful in business before you. We're so lucky to live in an age where you can connect with business owners through various chambers of commerce, like this Next Gen Chamber. And you can be an active part of a seller community beyond where you live or your immediate network. NextGen does a wonderful job of making entrepreneurship and economic opportunity available to all. And they have so many resources, events and research to help you make the most out of your business.
Thank you so much for those flattering words about NextGen. We pride ourselves on our work supporting our next generation of business leaders, including our small business entrepreneurs. So this has been a fantastic discussion today, Joyce. First, thank you so much. And as we wrap up, do you have any additional final thoughts that you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Gil. It's been just such a great time. It's like flown by this last hour. As we wrap up our discussion today, I'm just like struck by just how extraordinary this moment is in e-commerce, really is right now. When I think about my early days, ordering for catalog, going to a bunch of stores, it's just amazing to see how this world has fundamentally changed. And the future of commerce is no longer about guessing what customers want or hoping your products find the right audience. Now it's about having these tools to truly understand your customers and the ability to continuously improve your products based on their feedback. E-commerce is just a way to reach these markets you've never imagined possible. So here's my challenge to you all. Think bigger. Whether you're just starting out or looking to expand your existing business, the tools and opportunities are there. Amazon is ready to help you understand your customers better, to improve your products, and reach people worldwide. The possibilities of your business are really limitless. So thank you so much for being here and for having me here today. The futures of commerce, it's really yours to shape. I can't wait to see what y'all build.
Thank you so much again for joining us today, Joyce. And I want to also thank Amazon, our annual VP sponsor, for their support of all the great work that we do here at the Next Gen Chamber. And we look forward to continuing on this webinar series. And finally, I wish to thank our viewers, or as I like to call you, the best part of the Next Gen Chamber of Commerce. Until next time, good day.